This conference will now be recorded.
All right, it's 11:11 again. This is the third time we've been with you, and we want to welcome you to thank you for being human. Yay! And what's our topic today, Tracy?
I think we're going to touch on some PTSD. I think it's more common than people think.
What is PTSD?
Well, it's post-traumatic stress
Disorder.
disorder. Yeah, thank you for your help. Drew a blank. You'll probably be able to explain like the physical or the emotional components to it, and I'll hopefully be able to add some spiritual components to it.
Yep, that sounds good. And let's tell the audience who isn't here yet what we do, and maybe they can replay it later when we figure out how to get it over to YouTube.
All just a learning thing. Thank you for being human. Both of us are a little challenged when it comes to electronics and social media and things like that, but we're learning and we're being human about it for sure. So I'm a clairvoyant, basically a psychic medium. I also do energy work. I'm a Reiki practitioner. And so I do private readings for people, mediumship or psychic readings. I do energy work, and I'm also just got certified in what's called the emotion code. And it's another type of energy work, but it's more very specific attached vibrations attached to emotion that are in our body and in a way of releasing it.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about how to do that with PTSD later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my name is Petra Hoffman, better known as Petra Abilities in the industry. And I am a mental health counselor, clinical hypnotherapist. I specialize in past life regression work, which is the fastest way to healing in any modality I've ever seen, and it creates permanent change. And what else do I do? I'm a psychic card reader. I work internationally. We both do our services online because we are working with energy. Just to clarify, you can call us from anywhere in the world and get a reading or a counseling session or a hypnotherapy session. Or can Reiki be done online? I think it can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
you're
the emotional,
energy.
yeah, any kind of energy work can be done from a
There
distance.
we go. So, as far as COVID and all that goes, all our services are available online now. And the funny thing, I'm also a speaker and a writer. I do motivational speaking, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, it's funny because I had intended when I moved to Belize to bring all my services online. And now with the COVID thing, I always call it my COVID-19 silver lining
Yeah.
because it's put me on track to where it is I was really needing to go. And when I went to Belize and opened up another business, I realized I would not have been happy in that business for the next 15 years. So again, it brought me home and it's brought me online, and this is what we're really working towards, is creating our businesses online. And it's real affirmation for me because that's what I had intended to do in the first place.
It's just a beautiful validation from the universe, from source saying, yes, this is the right thing to do. Really, the reach, I mean, technology, we all have our issues around technology, but in reality, it gives us um, healing from a far more global reach, if that makes sense. So there's certainly, yeah, and certainly the globe needs it right now.
Right. So anybody that's watching this in the future, because nobody's on channel as yet, and it's okay if they're not, please send your friends and family, people that you know need help. I've also got we run through a charity organization, so we need the funding to build these platforms, to kind of sort of pay for our time, which it doesn't really. and, marketing and all of that. So if you hit us up on our pages on Facebook, you can donate or participate, run your own fundraiser campaign under the charity, and help us to keep this live and going, and really helping the people that are in need. So every Thursday, I also do free online counseling. All right. So again, send people that you know need the help, please, and thank you. Share it with us. I'm Petra Hoffman on Facebook, and Tracy Bach. You see the name written. BACH is the last name, and you can find us there, and send us people.
Yeah. Anybody that needs it.
That really need the help, because a lot of people, my whole life I've been well, my whole life. I kind of have counseled for most of my life. I just never used to get paid for it. But the thing is, I always wondered how I could help all the people that would reach out that couldn't afford my services. And your docket fills up real fast with giving people discounts. And I always wondered how to do that till COVID came along. And I thought, why not create a GoFundMe campaign? And our charity was, well, we were changing the name and the purposes. And so under our bylaws, we are able to provide for disaster relief programs, and counseling happens to be a really good one. And that's really what we're doing on this channel also, is counseling and helping you work through this.
Yeah.
So
There shouldn't
let's
be
get on.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a price attached to wellness. And
Right.
I know we both feel that way, and everybody deserves abundance and everybody deserves to get paid for what they do. But we're moving into energetically a more global sharing of resources, I believe, in the world. And it's going to happen over the next 20 to 25 years. And so this is just the beginning of it.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Money may not exist anymore in our future.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
can mail us gold bars.
That's all right.
We'll pay for the shipping.
That's right. Well, any mineral really.
So I
Crystal.
guess we better get on with the topic of the day, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I would have to say, before all this COVID stuff was going on, we all suffer it. Okay, we've all had trauma in our lives, whether it's in our childhood, whether it's through divorce, whether it's through car accidents, illnesses, whatever have you. We all, every single human being, thank you for being human, suffers post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, some people are able to release it and know the tools, or know it instinctually, how to release those pains. But until you do release the pain, it will stick with you, and pain transmutes into the body. And this is what makes us sick. And this is what gives us depression, anxiety, stress, and body illnesses. So very important that we learn how to release it. We kind of wish we had some people on to kind of share their story, but in the future we'll do it again. And I think that PTSD is a really, really, really important one, because it leads to so many other emotions, anger and fear, and anxiety, and all of that. And it's kind of like the domino effect with PTSD. So it does need to be released. It needs to be released from our body and from our mind.
Hmm.
And
And
that's something.
it's one of those things that causes, and I'm not going to say it's not not disease necessarily, but dis-ease of the body, the soul, emotion, all the bodies. Basically, it causes dis-ease, and when we have dis-ease, which is a malalignment, that's when things start to break down in our physical bodies as well, emotionally and spiritually. And so
That's good.
Yeah, PTSD, I would agree that everybody, it doesn't, it's not Hollywood necessarily. It's not about, being physically reactive over the smallest things or having hallucinations or anything like that. It can be the smallest, you don't have to have gone to war to have PTSD. And I think that's what people have to realize is that it could be something that you might not even remember happening in your life, and it can cause just your body to hold on to that fear or that anxiety or whatever. And that's just really what PTSD is.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up because I can attest to that personally, that oftentimes when trauma is too much for us to handle, God, the universe, your angels, aliens, whatever you believe in up there, kind of puts a block in your mind as to what actually transpired. That's something hypnotherapy and counseling, especially hypnotherapy, can help you deal with. Sometimes maybe it shouldn't be uncovered, and we can still move forward and go through the emotional distress that results from it. But when your mind is ready, as it was with mine when I was, now I'm aging myself, but I was 55 years old when I was, uh, the third time I had memories of things that happened to me when I was young that I had blocked my entire life. And I first had recollections when I was writing my book, and my mom had said something that triggered some memories, and then my mind blocked it again. And then I was hypnotized. In my school, we used to practice on one another, and again, uh, there were memories brought up, and again, my mind blocked it. And the third time, I was at a seance and I was met with my molester, my main molester. And then I remembered, and then snippets came back, just little bits and pieces, because apparently I had always been drugged when this was happening to me. And so snippets came back, and I didn't want more coming in, so I didn't explore it more. All I did for myself was to then explore the emotions and understand where all this was really coming from. Um, and then I gotta say, it doesn't always come from this lifetime. Whether or not you believe in past lives, you can bring these pains with you from trauma that has happened to you in a past life. And we have been here hundreds, if not thousands of times before. And if you absolutely don't believe in past lives, you'll be surprised when you pass over.
Yeah. One thing I do, and thank you for bringing it up, is that you don't have to address the memory, or you don't have to relive the cause of your PTSD. You really don't. There are techniques, like for
Yeah,
instance, emotion code. You can it's a system where you can identify the emotion that maybe is trapped in the body. So emotion is just energy, so it's a vibration. So if it gets trapped in your body, PTSD, you can identify what the emotion is. You can identify an age, and then you can just release it. So you don't have to relive. There's often a fear around reliving
yeah.
traumatic memories, and of
Like
course there would
this,
be. You've been through it once. You don't want to go through it again, because then the whole trauma processes starts all over again. And
that's
that's where we have the term of living in the victimhood, or being a victim. So yeah, I think it's really important to, especially even with hypnotherapy, you don't have to necessarily relive it again. If you have a qualified hypnotherapist like yourself, you don't allow that person to have that same trauma again. You can release
I
it,
don't
just
need to know the
awareness,
story. They know the story, or
right?
they don't know the story if they have it blocked. Either way, it doesn't matter. You know, in
Mhm.
counseling, yes, we go there. We need to go there,
Yeah,
and that's a choice. You know, you need to go to where the root cause of the pain is. But in
of course.
hypnotherapy, we don't need to know the story. You know the story. Your brain is a data bank. Okay, it's like a computer data storage system, and 95% of that brain is your subconscious mind, your higher being, your divinity. It stores all informations, not just from this lifetime, but from all your past lives, future lives.
Yeah.
And
Across all dimensions of time and space. All the information is already there.
right.
Yeah, so it is important to know that, different techniques for work for different people. And we're not here to say you shouldn't see a psychiatrist. We're not here to say you shouldn't be taking medications that are prescribed by a physician. That is not. We support that 1,000,000%. But we're here to also encourage complementary um, healing. So whether it's through hypnotherapy, whether it's through the emotion code, whether it's even through psychic readings or channeling of the divine, channeling of your spiritual allies.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Oh,
Mhm.
and for anybody listening, we will have a card reading near the end of the show. We will both pull y'all a card. And if you're not here listening now, you'll be listening in the future, and it will also apply because it is energy,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The universe is infinitely intelligent. So it'll be given to the right person at the right time.
Exactly. Well put, my friend. Well put.
Okay, so techniques for PTSD. I mean, we don't even really. Are you wanting to identify some situations around PTSD? I think that we all know that anything can trigger, not even trigger, anything can allow PTSD to become a part of who we are. Anything, any situation. Losing a dog, um,
Oh,
you know, being in a bullying situation in elementary school. Like any of these things coming into this life with past trauma that we haven't released as a soul. So we don't really have, everybody, like you said, I believe 100% of people on this planet have some sort of PTSD at some point in their life. And so let's go through what would you do in a hypnotherapy session to help somebody with PTSD?
okay. Well, that's one of my favorite modalities. It's called a soul retrieval. And shamans have been using this for thousands and thousands of years, to release the post-traumatic stress disorder. So what we do is I do one-on-one sessions. I also do group sessions, and I'll be doing online sessions. What we do is we take you in. It's like hypnotherapy is a form of meditation, only we take you a step further, a step deeper, to where we're actually working with the subconscious mind. You will be awake, you will be aware, you will know everything that's going on around you. Okay? I promise you that. So we take you that step deeper, and then what we do is it's a really calming meditative process where we take you into the subconscious mind, and we bring all of those. What happens is when we suffer trauma, parts of our mind, parts of our soul are literally disassociated from our body. And so these soul fragments, I call them, are scattered all around. They're all around. They're not a part of us anymore, because that's our coping mechanism, is to disassociate. So either you're living in the pain every day, which the victim would do, or you're disassociating, but even the victim will disassociate on some level. So what we're doing then is we're bringing all those soul fragments back together and back into your body, into your different chakra areas, into your heart, into your solar plexus, into your reproductive organs, into all the different areas in your body, and we're allowing them to integrate. And we're allowing them then, through this process, to clear. And what they do is they come back into your body, they integrate, they work together as a team as they're meant to do, bringing you back into balance. Then we go through in the hypnotherapy, while you're hypnotized, we go through, I take you into this beautiful dome where we have a virtual fire, where we will release all of the negative feelings, all of the negative things that have happened that you can recall in your life, and keep only what is positive. Now, some people who are really traumatized, or your soul isn't ready to bring it all back in, may need another session. But I don't think I've ever had somebody needing more than 2 sessions to get it all resolved. And it's the really cool thing about hypnotherapy is that it creates permanent change, okay, with a 93% success rate. Can't say that about counseling. I don't know if you can say that about a lot of modalities. It creates permanent change. So once this is resolved, not only will you be able to resolve all the emotional pain and anguish within your body and in your mind, but you will also know how to handle things differently that happen to you next. Because traumas are going to, and especially in today's times, it's not going to be easy. We don't have an easy road ahead of us. And so the sooner we learn to deal with these issues, the better off we are, because now we're going to be able to handle them better. Okay, because we're going to recognize it. When you're young, or when you're in a car accident, or you're going through divorce, you don't recognize it. And how many people do you know that have gone through a divorce and they're hanging on to that for 20 years? It's all they talk about. Time to let it go. Get on with your life. Life is to be enjoyed, not to be endured. So
Exactly.
that for me is the most powerful process.
I've done soul retrieval as well, and it is a beautiful, calming, empowering,
Hmm.
peaceful process. It's like um, calling all bits of yourself home. I feel like, as humans, we often feel like we don't have a place. Everywhere we go, we just don't quite fit. The jigsaw puzzle isn't for us. We don't belong. I remember the feeling of calling my soul back home and going, oh, I do belong. I am part of it all. So there's that component too to soul retrieval, and it is a really calming, beautiful, uplifting modality for sure. And another one that you don't necessarily have to recognize all the trauma that caused the soul fragmentation. You don't even have
Correct.
to recognize it. It's like I'm sure most people have heard of the inner child work. So calling your inner child back home. It's a process similar to that. Yeah,
The
it's a
innocent inner child. We were
innocent.
all born innocent with
Yeah,
a pretty much clean slate. Well, we do bring baggage, but we're
yeah,
given a clean slate when we come in.
yeah.
Another thing that I'd like to mention about PTSD is that PTSD is a loss of power. That's basically what it is. You lose your power. If you've been sexually abused, or you're in an accident, or you're in a divorce situation, you're losing your power, okay? When it is unrecognized and when it is not dealt with, what happens is we give away more of our power. So, an example would be drawing that same messed up human being to be your partner in life. Okay, and you've already been through the story, and now you've drawn somebody that is abusive again and again and again, and you give away more and more power each time you do it. And so you're becoming entrenched in the cycle, in this hamster wheel cycle of loss of power. And so when it is dealt with, when you finally wake up and say, okay, enough is enough, what that does, these soul fragments that come back into you, restore your sense of power. And in the hypnotherapy process, and again, shamans have been doing this for years, everybody does it in their own unique way. But what happens is you will never ever, and I implant that in your subconscious mind, that you will never ever give away your power again without your express permission. And we also give you protection while you're hypnotized. put you a protective shield around you that nobody and nothing can penetrate without your express permission. So no longer are you giving away your power, which especially a lot of women tend to do.
Yeah. And power is choice. So a lot of trauma is about having no choice. And even with a child, like we're learning how to parent even differently. With this beautiful knowing about energy and knowing about spirit, like we're now allowing children to have a choice. So, which is going to benefit them in the long term as far as PTSD goes, that giving somebody a choice is being in power. That's what
Yes.
you're, and it's not power over, it's
Right.
power in. So we're never wanting to give, when you forgive me if I'm wrong and paraphrasing incorrectly, but when we're talking about having our power back, it's not power over somebody, it's
No.
power from within. And lots of power is kindness, lots of our power is gentleness, lots of our power is all these beautiful, what might seem weak to some people or have been labeled as weak: gentleness, kindness, humility. That's still a powerful position because you have choice.
Self-love.
Self-love. Yeah. And I think that's really important when we talk about power, because we all sort of think power, we think about like people that are making choices for us. That's not power. That's greed. That's other labels. That's other definitions. Power is just owning who you are and knowing that you have a connection to the divine and that
Right.
you're part of something so much bigger.
Right.
Yeah.
And even the meekest and meagerest, apparently, on the face of this planet, have a power within that they yet don't understand.
Mhm.
So when you're shy and you're meek and you can't speak up for yourself, that's just your loss of power. You've lost your power. And everybody has the choice to gain it back. But it's a matter of recognizing it in the first place. Like, this is what's going on. And this is why we're here telling you how to recognize when you suffer PTSD, as we all do. Um, and then you have the choice. Do I want to fix this, or do I want to remain the victim? Some
Yeah.
people choose to be a victim and why do they do that? Because there's a payoff. Somebody's feeling sorry for you, or perhaps they're cleaning your house for you or giving you rides. There's always a payoff when you choose to stay in victim mode. But what also happens when you choose to stay in victim mode, bad things will keep happening because you believe that bad things are going to happen. And the universe mirrors exactly what we put out there. And I used to be one of those people. It's like, oh my God, look at me. Bad things always happen to me. When am I ever going to get out of this cycle? But I didn't realize I was doing it myself by saying bad things always happen to me, and the universe gave me bad things happening to me. And so it piles and piles and piles and piles up to where you don't know how the hell you're going to get out of that situation.
Yeah.
Because it's like you feel like you're buried. You feel like you're completely buried and you don't know how to get out, like going down the rabbit hole. How the hell are you going to climb out again? But please know that you can, with choice, with knowing that there is a better way, with knowing that there is a way to heal. And all you have to do is make that choice.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a leap of faith, and nobody is blaming. We are not here to blame and saying everything that's happened in your life is your fault. That is not that is not what we're saying at all. We're just saying at
No,
every moment there is help and choice.
no,
So saying somebody, who's bankrupt or been abused or had car accident, that's not their fault.
right,
We have really great manifestors. I think the point is that at any point we get to change that. So, like you said, accidents happen. Accidents happen when maybe we're not listening to universe. Maybe we're not, and maybe sometimes it's just an accident. I think most of the time that we're not listening to universe. I have a saying that I use with people, and it's universe will whisper to us. Universe or God source, aliens, whomever you believe as the higher power, will whisper. And if we
Yep.
don't hear it, they'll yell. And if we still don't hear it and still don't pay attention, they're going to hit us upside the head with a 2x4. And that often manifests in car accidents, disease of the body, and things like that. But you do have a choice. I just want to also mention that once you've done this soul retrieval with like an expert like Petra, which is a beautiful, beautiful, there's a maintenance that goes along with that. So now that you have this awareness, you know what it feels like to be in this position of PTSD, of dis-ease, of a misalignment, all of that. You know what it feels like. So now the maintenance processes come in. So it would be somebody going to like a Reiki healer, going to an emotion code, doing a practice of meditation every day, of connection, of clearing, of energetic clearing, of prayer, even if that works for you, of affirmations, all things that we've talked about before. It just should become, it's like maintenance. You don't have your house cleaned professionally and then not do your dishes because it's going to be back there within a week. Well, I might. Thank you for being human. I have children for it. Yeah. So there is a maintenance part too that sometimes people forget. Healing and protection is not a passive sport. It is not a passive thing. We have to be engaged, and it's not hard engagement. It is just a willingness to
Yeah.
try whatever works as far as maintenance. As whatever works with counseling, hypnotherapy. I'm not saying that you have to see a hypnotherapist once a week. I'm not saying you have to go see a Reiki therapist once a week. But when you feel, it's almost like, if you get cold sores, if you feel a cold sore coming on, you want to go and nip it in the bud. You can feel it before the blister happens. It's the same with the emotional trauma. You can feel it coming. You can feel it starting in your body. That's when you do your maintenance.
And where do you think a lot of addiction issues come from?
Of course.
Pain and trauma.
Pain and trauma.
Those that suffer the biggest pain and trauma are the addicts because they're putting a band-aid on. Whether you're addicted to drugs, alcohol, shopping, whatever the case may be, food, whatever it is, you're using that to fix, to cover the pain and the trauma that you have suffered. So by resolving the pain and trauma and releasing and letting it go, addictions often become cleared also. Okay.
Yeah.
You
And
don't
trauma
need
is,
a
yeah.
Band-Aid.
Yeah, there's a component to trauma is the fear around feeling it again. So
Yes.
we talk about fear. We've talked about fear before, and we will talk about it again because it really is the basis of being human. We're all fearful. We're fearful meat sacks, right? We're fearful of the unknown. So part of that is even if we don't know what caused this PTSD in us, we're fearful of finding out because we feel like it's a reflection of our spirit. And I'm here to say, as a psychic, whether you believe in psychic or not, as a medium, as somebody who has a direct channel to the divine, as do you, we don't need to be fearful. We're protected, we're supported, and we are loved ultimately. And our soul is not damaged by what happens to us.
That's right.
It can't be. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this is a future forethought also for all the chaos that may happen around you. You can be at peace and you can be joyful inside. You could be in the middle of a war field with bombs and guns and everything and still find the joy and the peace inside of yourself. And in a way that protects you. It's like you can build a shield of protection and the tides will move around you when you learn how to do that. When you learn how to do that.
It's
Now,
our right.
there's one thing I really want to say about hypnotherapy. I used to work with a lot of addicts. I'm not working so much with addictions anymore because it just dredges up my own stuff from the past, and the success rate isn't that great. They think I have a magic wand, you know. They come in and they think I have a magic wand. They're going to lay on the couch. They're going to be hypnotized. They're going to walk out addiction free. That's not how it works. You still have to do the work, like Tracy said earlier. So I just want to put that in as a disclaimer. If you come expecting a miracle, magic wand, that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get a healing process, but you need to do the maintenance, like Tracy said.
Yeah,
And
and when I have clients come, and I do a lot of teaching as well, teaching about spirituality, teaching about relying on our own intuition, teaching about relying on our spiritual allies, guides, angels, whomever that want to support us, teaching about how to reconnect and all of that. And a lot of my clients will be like, well, you must have the easiest life. Like you must be so peaceful all the time. And it's funny because it I flow through it better now. So I still have challenges. I still have trauma that come up in my life. But the benefit of having a maintenance program spiritually, emotionally, physically, having a maintenance program is that you recognize it. You have the tools now to flow through it. You have the tools to heal from it. And it's so your flow is better and you can get back to joy and peace and love and divinity much more quickly. It's not going to take you 20 years. It might take you 5 days. It might take you 20 minutes. It might take you a month, but we're not talking lifetimes of hurting, if that makes sense. So it's like you said, it's not a magic wand, but it sure feels a lot better to be able to move through fear, trauma, anxiety, all of that much more quickly with the tools, meditation, hypnotherapy, energy work, all of that, connection,
mindfulness. Um, right?
affirmation.
We can jump the hurdles better. Shit still happens. We
Shit
do live
still
in the same world after all. So it happens to us just as it does to you.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but we're able to manage and jump those hurdles more eloquently. Okay.
yeah,
That's all. That's
yeah.
all. Because we realize, we come to understand that shit still happens. Bad things still happen, and they are happening in the world, but so is a lot of good. And just to be able to find the tools to be able to walk through the fire. Okay. Whereas before you would be in trepidation of walking through that fire till it was almost too late. Now we know we got to walk through the fire, so we just walk through the fire. Okay. And we can do it with peace and joy inside of us, because all of that comes from inside of us. Self-love comes from inside. It doesn't come from outside. Love does not come from outside of you. Love comes from inside of you. And if you truly love yourself, if you learn to truly love yourself, you're going to want to heal yourself.
Well, we're born of love. That's
We
how
are.
this human mass meat sack, I'm always going to use that term, this meat
That
sack.
was funny that I read it the last time we were on channel. I read it right after we got off channel. This guy calls says meats, and I'm like, wow.
Meat sack. Well, because I want to put more emphasis on where we came from. We came from that golden drop of love. That's what everybody has in common on this planet. That's where we're
Yes.
created. We're created of that drop of love. So we can't be anything other than that. We might make choices as a human. Thank you for being human. We might make choices that aren't always in alignment. And I've made plenty of them. And I still make plenty of choices that aren't in alignment. But I
And
can
we
now
will.
move through, correct, course correction, clear, all of that much more quickly with the practices I've learned over time. And I think that's important too for people to forgive. Like even for instance, if you, let's say, for instance, you were in a car accident, you were texting and driving, and you're in a car accident. Now you have PTSD around it. And you're carrying a lot of guilt also around it because, well, it was my fault. And then you text and drive again. And then you have tons more. So it's almost like a cycle. It's adding, like you said, it's the piling, the piling, the piling. Now
Yeah.
it's about, now we're going to take accountability. Yeah, thank you for being human. Now I won't text and drive, but I'll also be healing this PTSD physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I know now thank you, universe. I've learned my lesson. I will not text and drive anymore. It's a very simplistic analogy, but it's kind of like that. right? We all make mistakes. And if we keep choosing partners that maybe abuse us or aren't loving and kind to us all the time, if we feel like we keep choosing the same partners all the time over and over, there's a blame that we put on ourselves over that as well, which only adds to the PTSD, right? So we
And
gotta,
then along with all of that, um, is forgiveness.
mhm,
Forgiveness to those people that have wronged us, and forgiveness to ourselves for allowing us to be wronged.
mhm,
Okay, because there is, when you're in an abusive situation, there is the innate part of you that knows this
mhm,
and has drawn on this. Doesn't make it your fault. You just haven't learned that you can fix this. You can
mhm,
fix this part of you so that you don't draw those kinds of people to you anymore. And then the door opens for like minded people to walk through that lift each other up. If you're in a relationship, whether it's a lover relationship or a friend relationship, if you do not want, if somebody in your circle does not want what's best for you, they're not your friend. If somebody in your circle is jealous or envious of you, they're not your friend. And yeah, it's not easy to get rid of them. And sometimes it's family, but even if it's family, we can kind of take a step back and nurture ourselves and take care of ourselves and forgive them because they don't know any better. And forgiveness is not for them, it is for you. It's so you can continue to heal. It's only for you. You're not saying what you did is acceptable, because hell no, it's not acceptable. But you're forgiving them in your heart for yourself so you can move on and not hang on to that pain, because you're doing yourself the disservice by not forgiving the other person. And then the one we forget the most to forgive is ourselves. And that's where you need to start. Forgive yourself. Forgive
yeah,
yourself. You
yeah,
know, even women that get raped, there's a part of them that blames themselves. Well, maybe if I hadn't of this, maybe if I'd have said this, maybe if I'd have done that. There's a part of you that blames yourself. Okay? And these are the things we need to let go.
mhm. I'd like to say too around self-forgiveness and about forgiveness of other people that may have wronged us or hurt us or given us trauma is I'd like people to look at another person, whether they're have hurt them, whether they're not in alignment to be in their life, but look at them as if they are little babies, baby souls. Let's call them baby souls. How would you react to a baby or a toddler that made mistakes, that bit another child? Right? So, like from a loving, forgiving, beautiful place, we would teach a toddler it's not nice to bite another child. It's not nice to hurt somebody else. And we would teach them, but we would forgive them. And then, if there would be consequences. So if we can look at ourselves like for the mistakes that we've made that were baby souls, we're
Yeah.
toddler souls, we're still learning. The other person, they're still learning. I don't have to be around them because it hurts when they bite. I'm going to choose to not play with them. But boy, they're just learning as a soul. It
Yeah.
helps me to have less judgment in my life.
Yeah.
To
And
pay,
knowing that we all have to play a role, even the serial killer is just playing a role on a stage, and the world has always had serial killers, so somebody has to play the part.
yeah,
In fact, maybe you
yeah,
played the part yourself in a past life because you wear different hats and your different genders in past lives. I was just talking, I reconnected with a friend of mine. We had a falling out several years ago, and we were talking about that, how where was I?
your friend.
Yeah, before I said about falling out. What? Oh yeah, we were talking about how connected we are. Her and her ex that I used to go out with, the three of us, and all the dreams that I have on the regular basis about them. And you just know that there's a soul connection and you've been here together before, because there is no other way that that connection can be so powerful. if you haven't been here with them before. And having done all of the regressions that I've done in hypnotherapy, there's one thing I'm going to promise you, that you draw around you throughout each lifetime the same circle, family and friends. You just change roles,
Yeah.
genders, roles. You know, your mother could have been your brother in a past life. Okay, that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's really how it works.
Yeah.
And another thing too, like, you don't need to believe in the process to get healing from the process. You don't need to believe in past lives to be regressed to one.
And energy healing, you don't have to believe that energy healing is possible. You just have to be open to receive it.
Correct.
Some of my some of my most dramatic physical healings and emotional healings were people that were like, honestly, would always like say, yay, thank you, I got one of these. Because I'd be like, I've tried everything else. I'm willing to do anything. So I was kind of the last resort. Oh, fine, I'll try this. And I had the best results from that because they were so vulnerable, so just ready. Even though they were skeptical about the healing, they were going to try anything, almost like offering it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do not have to believe. You do not have. You can be questioning. You can be a skeptic as long as you're open to being open to positive results. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well put. You don't have to believe in order to receive.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, exactly.
There's a new tag.
Yeah, you don't have to believe to receive. That's right. Thank you for being human. So PTSD, just to recap, it is not something that we can explain in the short time that we have. It's not really something that we can really dig deep into in an hour, but just understand that there's different levels of pain within PTSD, but there are also options to get a little bit better, get a little bit better, get a little bit better. And just because you don't remember a huge trauma in your life doesn't mean that you don't suffer from PTSD. We've all had trauma. We have all signed a contract with the universe to experience certain traumas in this lifetime to help the universe learn about what it's like to be human. Yeah. Yeah. Final thoughts for you before we get into that card reading?
No, you did that. That clears it up for me too. It's it's a choice. You either want to get better or you don't.
Yeah.
It really comes down to that. You either want to get better or you don't. So, you know what? We're here for free, basically. I'm there every Thursday morning, same time, for free. We do have a GoFundMe campaign running for those of you that will watch. Look us up, find the link, and please donate or participate so we can keep these platforms running, because we do need to eat too.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that we should say that eventually, and I don't know exactly when, but in the near future, we're going to have just sort of open it up to Q&A. So
Yeah.
bring your questions, and it doesn't have to be about a certain topic. Just bring your questions about spirituality, about hypnotherapy, about whatever it is. Bring your questions, and we'd love to have a little discussion. I'm here to share what I know in my soul. It doesn't mean it's what you know. There's all different ways of coming at the same love source or belief systems. We can all have
And
that.
we learn a lot from you. That's
Yeah.
why it's called sharing.
Yeah. It's called
Doesn't
yeah.
mean we know everything, because we certainly don't know everything. And
No.
we go through our own pains and our own traumas, and we just have more tools than some people.
Yeah. I do want to say, even if there's people watching that maybe have made a lot of bad choices in their life, like a lot, and done a lot of harm, we love you. And I pray for both. I pray for both. I offer healing to both, because a lot of people that do have, let's say, addicts, let's say murderers, let's say like the people that we judge the most as society, I will often look at them like they've given up this lifetime to teach us a lesson. Who am I to say that they're better or worse than me? I don't have that judgment capability. I am just going to pray for their healing and the healing of everybody around. And it's how I try to approach life. So even if you feel like you aren't deserving of healing, you definitely are.
Yeah, it's never too late to turn your life around.
No.
If you've killed 100 people in the past, it's not too late to turn it around and make the rest of your life a better place, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's never
Um,
ever too late. It doesn't matter what you've done, the universe and God and whoever you believe in forgives you.
yeah.
You know, you've already got the forgiveness from the universe. Now you just got to forgive yourself and move on.
Yeah. There's people out there to help you. And for your
Now
average
we're
people,
going to do
yeah.
card reading. I'm going to use this deck and I'm going to let Tracy go first.
Oh, I
She's
get to go first.
thing.
I'm using the Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell, one of my favorite decks. This woman is amazing.
Yay.
I don't know that we're gonna do a theme, or I don't feel like I'm gonna do a theme. It's not gonna be around PTSD. It's just gonna be around whatever general thing that
Whatever message spirit has for y'all today,
we need to
or
know.
whenever you're watching this, it will apply.
Yes, exactly. And here we go. So, for the highest good of all of humanity, all of everybody. So this actually probably is a little bit about today's lesson. So this card, beautiful card, is Warrior Woman. So this one is telling you we're talking about fear a lot. What would you do if you weren't afraid to do anything? Who would you be? What challenges would you take on? What chances, what risks would you take? What leaps of faith would you do? So it's about coming back. Now we're at a time in our life where we're starting to really realize that we need to connect with our warrior. This is warrior woman, but it could be warrior man as well. Warrior period. As humans, we have to be warriors, spiritual warriors. No longer fighting physically, no longer fighting emotionally, mentally. We need to fight for the community in a spiritual way. So that means standing in our power, not being fearful, not having that, I need to get ahead of that person because I need it more, releasing the needs of the one to the needs of the all. And it's about just fighting for what you know is right. And we all know what's right is love. So fighting for love, fighting for forgiveness, fighting for joy. It's about also this lovely warrior woman has a sword. It's about releasing and cutting away all the energy that no longer serves us. It's about, shedding, giving us a trim back to our original spiritual place. That's it. Your turn.
That's amazing. And yeah, it's right now what we as humanity need to focus on is humanity. And we are all one, and we are all the same. And nobody is better than the other person. And if you think that, then, we could do
Come
some.
Come yes.
Because I'm not better than you, and you're not better than me, and that's just the way it is. I used to have doctors and lawyers on a pedestal till I worked for a lawyer. Cured me of that in a big hurry. Okay?
Thank you for being here.
Being human.
You were being human.
What did I call him in his own office? A parasitic ditch worm?
Oh my goodness. Thank you for being human. Can't
Nasty back
wait
then.
to
I
eat.
was angry. I had anger and I said it like it was.
Oh, that's terrible.
It
In a beautiful way.
was
Terrible in a beautiful way.
There's some terrible things.
It was a
Peaceful
terrible,
way.
terrible
Oh yeah, I used to be a person that was in a lot of pain, a lot of fear, well, no, not fear. I've always been I've never been afraid of anyone. I don't care how big your gun is, I'm still not scared. Because I really believe when my time's up, and that's probably not how I'm gonna go.
anger does come from fear. It's just a
Anger,
different how to
anger
live with.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
I
It's a
guess
fear
I
of
wasn't
not losing control. A fear of not being worthy. It's a fear of being used. It's a fear of somebody taking your power.
True. I never felt worthy. And I was an angry soul for half my life, right? And so again, and a super addict. So again, if I can do it and sit here talking to you today, trying to help you today with tools and information, anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. You don't even know where I was and what I've done and where I've been. And I honestly thought that I was only hurting myself. I was hurting everybody around me. I didn't see that at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's card, two popped up. So I'm going to give you two real quick. Ooh, one, prayers. Prayers. So this is a reminder that there is always help available for you. Okay. You, as a human being, we as a species, need to remember now, our subconscious mind is 5% of our brain. It will trick you into forgetting to ask for help. Okay. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been working at a market doing card readings, and it came up a lot just this last Sunday. The card came up a lot. And it was like people were saying, and this card, people were saying, well, I'm afraid to ask because, they must be busy. Okay, well, we all have a team of guides and angels. Okay, your guides are there to serve you. If you were to go to work every day and nobody gives you anything to do, you'd be bored out of your cotton picking everlasting fucking mind. Well, don't bore them. They're there for you. They're there to help you. Hitch. They cannot intervene, and any healer will tell you this. Anybody that knows anything will tell you this. They cannot intervene unless you specifically ask for help. Okay? Your life is your life. That's called your freedom of choice. And they cannot intervene unless you specifically ask. And what kept coming up at the market was that, oh, well, I only ask when I'm like in trouble. Yeah, okay. Something really bad happens and it's like, oh, God, help me because I'm sick and I don't want to endure this. Ask when you're not in trouble. If you lose your car keys, ask. My angels help me every day find stuff that I misplace every day, you know? And it happens so much that there's no more doubt left in my mind. So that's another thing. The more you pray, the more you ask, the more shall be given, the more you will stop doubting the process. And you're going to be amazed because your whole life is going to change. And that's how to go with the flow. And that is how to level things out, is give it up to them. Surrender. Okay. It's in the surrender and the belief system, and that will grow the more you ask for help. One more really, really quick one. You've got a union coming up. Now, this could be to do with work, it could be to do with relationship, friendship, any kind of union. This is a union that is either happening with you right now, somebody you've already connected with, or you're about to connect with. It's a very important, a very strong union in that you will help to lift you up. You will not be pushing each other down. It's a very healthy um, mix, and it is a little bit more for you than well, no, it's got to balance out. You guys are going to really be helping each other up. So this is somebody that is going to be in alignment with you. And right now, a lot of people aren't in alignment anymore, especially with what's going on in the world and COVID and people infighting, and you're seeing true colors. Those are the people you need to let go to allow these unions, these special unions to happen, because we need to help each other up. We need to get through this. We need to build communities and help one another because we are all one. So for the next little while, for the next couple weeks at least, be very aware, stay in the now, stay present, who it is that comes into your life, that you can help them and they can help you.
Thank you.
Alrighty then. And
Yeah.
so we're going to say farewell. It's almost 12:11. And I'll let you take it, Tracy.
Yeah, so everybody, thanks for joining. Totally appreciate just even a listen. If one drop of our enthusiasm and our knowledge and our connection reaches you, that makes us happy. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Yay! Thank you for joining us. And thank you for being human. Look us up
Human.
on Facebook or websites, Petra Hoffman and Tracy Bach. Thank you. We'll see you here next week. Same time, same place.
You got it. I don't know how to stop the recording.